Welcome to another episode of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Shenanigans going on before we started there, sorry. But welcome to Descent into Avernus. Starring characters such as Malvola.
Oh gosh.
What did I do?
Oh, introduction. Just quick intro.
I am Nightcaste. I am playing Malvola. He is a Hexblade Warlock, Dragonborn. And you'll find out in a minute.
With a mysterious past. And we've got...
Yeah, kind of.
We also have Coyra. Who likes Stegosaurus. We can come back to you.
Oh, God.
We broke the druid. Yay!
Oh boy. I don't understand why everybody's laughing so much.
Oh, lies.
Oh,
1%
sure.
laughs, it feeds into other people's laughter,
Oh, my gosh.
but it's all blame Vallen.
So, we also have Coyra.
Hi, I'm Coyra. Oh, I'm shy. I'm playing Coyra, a half-elf druid.
Excellent. And moving on down, we've got playing as Grimm.
Yeah, I'm Nobby. I'm playing. Sorry, I'm playing Grimm, a shifter monk thing until I die. Sorry.
That actually applies to all of us. And then Master of Death, Thorn.
Hi, I'm Ghostwoods. Thorn's just this guy, you know?
Stabby McStabbing.
It's just a guy. Just a elf ranger dude. Your average elf ranger, or
Just has a little bit of bloodlust.
he's just got some angst. Okay.
He's having a bad month.
He's got anger issues. He's trying to work out.
He recently changed his name from Kylo. It's okay.
I don't think like real gaming, so it won't work.
Ooh. All right, and then I am Vallen. I will be playing as Palkas, a half-orc, not a barbarian. No, it's a half-orc sorcerer, wild magic sorcerer, in fact, who still likes to hit things with a big mallet. So, and then all the way down, back at the top there, we have Kashcah.
Oh, okay, I have recovered my composure. Hi, I'm Kashcah. I am Dungeon Master.
Excellent.
And I can breathe now. That's a bonus.
Well, you have another moment to catch your breath while I do the recap of last episode. Episode 16, Infernal Farmers. The devil escaped, with the devil escaped and the mercenaries defeated. We buried them, which were previously disguised as farmers on the road between Baldur's Gate and Candlekeep. We buried them and moved on to Candlekeep, where we were brought to Silvira, Savicus. Along the journey there, Rhea revealed more of the history of El Terrell and of the Hell Riders. And once Fisk brought us to Silvira, we also met her familiar, a Quasit named Jezebel, which we all thought suspicious at first. She was able to use her skills to open the puzzle box and reveal the contract inside as suspected. It was as all we had feared and more. Thavius Krieg had pledged himself to Zariel, a fallen angel and previous savior of the city, and the city of Elturel as well. Not knowing what could be done, a lot of rash options were discussed, but ultimately a lot of frustration of how to save those in Avernus. There was a slight thought in rescuing older Ravengard and using his influence and experience to raise an army to storm Avernus, or to raise the captives in revolt, but too little was known at this time, and study was to be had. It was also discovered that the shield Malvola had been carrying was intelligent, and believed to hold the spirit of a powerful pit fiend, which, for those not familiar with that, a pit fiend is one of the most dangerous devils known to exist. Inside it, that was claiming to escort the group in and through Avernus, pledging itself to help in what we all suspected would lead to its freedom and our demise. And at the end of that session, we all leveled up to level 5. So, yay. Now begins episode 17. Que sera?
17 episodes already. Wow.
17. Very short episodes. Take it away, Kashcah.
Oh boy. Okay. So you were in Silvera's kind of study area. I mean, actually, her whole place looks like one giant study, right?
Okay.
Because it is like, it's like she lives in a library, right? And she is very clearly an archmage, right? So you were in her kind of study area. She's got some seating around where you were kind of sitting and discussing a possible excursion to Avernus.
A nice little getaway. Holiday,
just
perhaps.
a long weekend, really. And she kind of, she's been sitting listening to this kind of like slightly heated, perhaps, discussion between Grimm and Thorn about, whether it's a good idea to go or not. And she's been kind of sitting back, like listening to you all talk during this conversation, and finally she stands up, and she kind of previously showed you a map. She'd unrolled it on a nearby table, and you'd seen this map. We'll call it a map with finger quotes, right? Because it's not particularly descript. There's just kind of these vague ideas of where things are.
There you go.
And she's kind of leaning over it, and she kind of turns and looks at you all and says, "You're right," she says. "Asking you to go to Avernus to take on this whole situation," she says, "is insanity." She says, "Instead, what I'll ask of you is to do kind of some reconnaissance, to go to Elturel. My friend Traxigor can take you there. Well, not take you there, but he has the magic needed to get you there. Go there and find Older Ravengard, and then report back," she says. "And I have just the thing to help us with this mission," she says. She kind of walks over, and there's this great dresser, and the top half is like all shelves of books, and then there's the bottom half has got like all these drawers in it, and she pulls open a drawer and takes out a small wooden box, and she brings it over to the table where the map is and opens the box up and kind of shows you all the box, and inside the box are 2 stones that look identical. She says, "These are sending stones." She says, "I will keep one here, and you take the other with you. And when you know what's going on," she says, "contact me, and I will do what I can to arrange for your return." She says, "But we will have to arrange a code, because devils are notorious for listening in on conversations done in this manner. So we will have to arrange a code that you can share information with me via." She says, "I don't want you to take on this whole burden yourselves. While I need to go and take this evidence that you've delivered to me and see that Thavius Krieg becomes the most hunted man on this plane. She says, she said, but I don't want to leave those of Elturel who are survivors, I'm sure. I don't want to abandon them. So if you can help me in this task of finding out who is still alive, I would greatly appreciate it. And so she kind of stands there, like, waiting for a moment.
Palkas seems to be nodding his head.
This certainly seems a bit less insane than, go kill the demon lord of Avernus, as opposed to go find out some information and we can go from there.
Yeah, well,
So I'm more on board with that, but I wasn't really not on board before.
if Palkas is nodding, then Thorn will nod agreeably enough. But I do still want a weapon that'll damage the little buggers down there.
She says,
I'm not going without something that I can stick things with.
Not sure they're little.
She says, well, as we discussed, at the very least for payment for delivery of this evidence, we can provide you with, some imbued items or imbue items that you already have with magical energy, to help you with this. If you would like to, she kind of gestures to your rapier, Thorn. If you would like me to do this with your rapier, I am happy to. And while she's talking,
Wonderful, thank you.
While she's talking, Philaster is still in the room, by the way. He's been kind of like standing kind of further back off, kind of almost in the shadows, just kind of listening and taking it in. And so he's kind of standing back there, and while she's talking to you about your rapier, another person enters the room. There's kind of a knock on the door, and the person just enters right away, and Silvera has just finished talking about your rapier, and she kind of turns to see who it is, and there's a look of recognition on her face, and it's just it's a younger woman, and she approaches her immediately, and Philaster walks up as well, and the three of them are kind of engaged in conversation for a moment. You hear the young woman say, we have new information. And then it's kind of they talk in kind of a very hushed tone. And then let me know if you guys want to do anything. But they'll talk
I want to be nosy, but not obviously nosy.
Okay.
I was thinking the same thing.
Palkas would actually say, very broadly, speak freely. We're all at risk here.
So you hear both Grimm and Malvola hear her talking about the young woman talking about an artifact, and that they have new information on its location. And then the young woman leaves, and Silvera kind of turns to you and nods for a moment, Palkas, but then Philaster kind of takes her shoulder just briefly, just very gently kind of puts his hand on her shoulder, and she turns back to him, and he's talking to her incredibly quietly. You can't hear what he's saying. But Thorn, you do see, so at this moment Silvera has her back to you, and you can actually see Philaster's face kind of almost fully, and he's talking to Silvera, and he makes eye contact with you, Thorn, and then kind of looks back to Silvera. And then he takes his hand off her shoulder and says to the rest of the group, I thank you for your company on the road from Baldur's Gate. He says, my business here is concluded, so I have other business to attend to.
This was Fisk?
Yes.
Okay.
And he says, he kind of does a deep bow to Silvera and says to her, let me know if I can be of any assistance in this series of events. And then he turns and kind of nods to the rest of the group, and then he leaves.
Palkas would try to catch him before he left and just offer like a handshake type thing, grasping the type thing, and say, thank you for your help.
He'll shake your hand heartily and say, I owe you all my life, he says. If there's ever any thing I can do for you, then please let me know.
Okay. Palkas just nods.
And with that, Philaster Fisk will take his leave. Silvera turns back to the group and says to you, turns to look at you, Thorn, and says, we have information that I think you will be interested in. She says, Philaster let me know that you seem to be looking for a particular artifact.
I'm looking to find out more about a particular book. I'm not necessarily looking to get another copy or read it in. Once was far, far, far too many times. But I want to know what it is and whether the truth it reveals are truth.
She says, well, perhaps you could share with me more about your encounter with a copy of this previously.
Yes, I can do that. I think if you give me 2 seconds to write the word file in question.
Excuse me.
Okay, so my brother and I have been smuggling primarily books for, I don't know, 70 years maybe. It's a living. Some have come to Candlekeep. We're not entirely predators on your establishment. A couple of years ago, we started working for a bunch of pimply human idiots called the Red Hat in the Dale Lands. And my brother spent a bit of time stalking them, I thought. A month ago, we delivered our latest book to them, the Book of Fragments. He told me to wait in part of the Old Skull, and he wanted to go and spy on a bit. He never came back. So the next morning, I went to the manor, and it was completely empty, dead. There was some detritus from the cult's ongoing existence. They lived little better than peasant farmers on. But that was it. I found the cult and my brother in a windowless room on the first floor, in the form of an ink-thin layer of flesh and blood, bone, and skin that perfectly coated all the walls, floor, and the ceiling. Designs were carved into every part of every inch of everything. And although it clearly wasn't alive, it did not look like dead matter either. The bones, most of them, had been fused into a gleaming seven-sided pedestal which stood in the central room, and the Book of Fragments was upon that. I think it grabbed me somehow, but I crossed over to it and read it. I don't know what time passed. In the reading, I was shattered. You see the mark on my eye where it burned itself in. And I burned everything. Burned the room, the magic book. But it showed me things about the nature of reality. The way that this is just tiniest shining skin of lies over hideous abysses of filth and horror and depravity. Everything I look at is dead and right. It just wears these tiny marks of life. And the only reason I'm still alive is because death does not bring any ignorance whatsoever. And I don't know what I want. But this is intolerable.
She sits very quietly for a few moments after that. And then she kind of slowly looks up at you and says, I'm surprised that you survived the reading of this book.
Me too. I can't imagine why I did. Just another cruel joke.
She said, it is an artifact that has come to our attention that I have been tracking, as it may in fact tie in with this effort by Zariel to recruit more members of her army by capturing Elturel first and then especially Baldur's Gate. She says, we don't have all of the information on how these two are tied together yet, but I can tell you that we've just discovered that there is a surviving, somebody survived the scene that you encountered. Says there is a person that walked away from that. She says, it's interesting that you burned everything. She says, as far as we're aware, the book still exists. Maybe it's a copy, or maybe that book is beyond being damaged by fire.
I wouldn't be surprised. As much as anything else, I was burning what remained of that book.
She says, the information we've just received is that the person who survived this encounter has the Book of Fragments and is currently making their way across Avernus to a place there called Fort Knucklebone. She says, I'm sure that there is a deal that has been entered into that's driving this person. Either that or they are a devil themselves already. But I'm not sure of their identity yet.
There are truths in that thing that should not be permitted into the hand being power.
She says that book, like the shield, is designed to corrupt. She says the magic within that book is purely for Asmodeus's benefit. She says that book, our understanding is that it is written to do as much damage as it can by removing the will to be an individual, and installing instead apathy. As she says, but we don't know its full contents either, so I'm sure it has capabilities beyond just that.
Believe me, you don't want to know the truth. There is no one so depraved who deserves.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
There is no one so depraved they deserve it.
She says, I believe we need to find the survivor, because I think they have the answer, they have the key to lifting this curse that has been placed upon you.
I can only hope it's a curse. But even false oblivion would be a huge step up. My God.
She says, that's all the information I have on this at the moment, but now I understand how closely you are tied to it. I'll share everything that I learn about it with you.
I appreciate that. I would caution you that things this book spoke of showed, really, because reading it wasn't like reading words on a page, being immersed in a vision. They were far older and darker and nastier than just hell. So perhaps this is in the service of Asmodeus, but if even a tenth of what the book shows is of reality, then there are much, much worse things than that being hammering on the eggshell thin wall of this reality, trying to find a way in.
She says, well, I don't intend to read such literature. She says, I do intend to locate it and study its magic in order to understand it fully and see what can be done.
A brave goal.
Their conversation seemed to have come to an end.
Yes. Well, Silvera is kind of done talking. Yeah.
Upon it looking like that came to an end, Palkas would get up from his seat and come over to Thorn, make sure he's seen before placing a hand upon him.
And he gets stabbed. No,
Right. This is why. Doesn't want to sneak up behind him.
Waiting for that.
Not that he's good at sneaking, but And he put a hand on Thorn's shoulder and says, "You've been quiet these past weeks. I did not ask."
I saw no reason to burden you again.
He says, "But I should have. And for that I am sorry. Whether it be for vengeance or something else, I will help you if you would like me by your side."
Always.
He says, "I think we can do good by these people here. Maybe reclaim our names."
It would be nice.
And yeah. So Palkas
On that
then
line,
says, "It's quite the wait, but I think perhaps we need to obtain information about our potential future destination. Study. Time spent for these magical items that might help us on our journey."
Yeah, Severa kind of like breaks as if she was caught in some kind of trance for a moment there, and and says, "Yes, yes, I can. Let me show you, to the library, the books that we have on these subjects, and I would recommend perhaps taking some time to learn about where you are heading and the culture of devils, as much as you can while I work on imbuing items for you." She says, and she kind of looks at you, Thorn, and kind of gestures to you for your rapier. She says, if you would be so kind.
I shall hand it over hilt first.
And then she looks at you, and to answer your question, Nobby, she looks at the rest of you and says, "And what gifts would you prefer?"
Let's start at one end and work our way down. I'll start with myself, and this way we won't talk over each other. Just because I can see all of us just be like, "Hey!"
Wait, we don't do that?
Palkas would say, "It seems my staff," and he holds up his maul, and he says, "may not be as effective when hitting these beasts. I would appreciate an enchantment to allow me to do so, and still use it as my focus for my spells."
So you want
Do you want me to metagame it?
yeah, well, like out of game, you want it
yeah,
plus
it's
one-ified?
Plus one, and I would be willing to pay for a gem to make sure that it stays as a focus for me.
Okay. All right. She says, "Yes, I'll take your staff," and she kind of like takes it from you and almost like falls over because it's so damn heavy. Right. She just kind of emphasizes, "I'll take your
Not that staff.
staff."
He just kind of like gently hands it over to her as well. And she's
Almost drops
She
it.
almost face plants in the ground.
Jezebel picks it up like it's nothing.
Swings it around.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see art of that.
Which, by the way, the maul is actually completely metal. There's no wooden handle.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
That is something that I was wondering, actually.
All right. Interesting.
Coyra likes them all a lot more.
All right, so Thorn, you wanted your rapier, yes?
Yeah. Severa
so
has
then,
already collected
Grimm?
rapier.
Excuse me.
Well, I've heard of gloves, gauntlets that can enhance strength.
Severa says, "Yes, I actually had one of my apprentices working on such an item recently. She says, you are welcome to the one that they produced. She says, especially as this is kind of a more complex enchantment, so may take longer than a couple of days to complete. So, the one thing that I will warn you is that when studying their results, I did notice there is a small flaw in the magic. She says it doesn't seem to affect the strength that you gain from it, but there may be some small side effects.
Features.
From some small features from
Use of this item may have unintended side effects, which may include blah 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 blah.
Ask voodoo magician near you.
We'll provide you with the literature. It's just some small prints.
Immediately lost.
She says, I'll have those delivered to you right away.
Okay.
Just don't taunt them. Do not taunt Happy Fun Ball. All right, and then Coyra.
I've heard about a bag with little fluffy balls in it. I do not know what it is exactly, but it sounds cool.
You got cotton balls, you know.
I hope you know what I mean. I have no idea what it's called.
She says, her face when you say that, like the eyebrow, like
Palkas
like,
would
what?
actually speak up to this and say, "I think it's similar magics to the hat that she has." And he mentions towards the motions towards the cap that he recently purchased for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He says that might give you an idea of what she's talking about.
She kind of says, "I think I know the thing. Could I see your hat for a moment?"
Sure. She grabs the hat and shows it.
Okay. She
Still unknowingly knowing what the hat is herself.
So she holds the hat for a moment and focuses and passes her hand across it and says, "Okay, I think I know the item that you're talking about," and passes the hat back to you and says, "Yes, you will be thoroughly surrounded by small creatures of your choosing."
Cool. That's amazing.
She says, we can have this ready for you within the next day or two.
All right, and then Malvola.
As we're probably not going to have like a base of operations, I would like a way to transport supplies and so on. That metagaming, a bag of holding, basically. I mean, I'm looking for a way to carry all of our stuff that isn't like, oh yeah, and our wagon. You know?
She says, wagons are probably not advisable in Avernus. And she kind of says, and she shoots a glance at Grimm and says, "Yes, I think a bag of holding would be a very good idea." she says, "We have."
Now I'm looking at Grimm like, what does that look for?
And I'm wondering what the hell's going on.
But yeah, I'm starting to think that the unintended consequences is it turns you into an ogre.
Wow.
That's pretty cool, actually.
That could be
You have to say, by the power of gauntlets, I have the power, and then
depends on whether or not I keep normal stats other than the strength increase.
You just need to
That would
find.
determine
No,
whether
you get the
cool.
ogre intelligence too.
All you have to do is find
Sorry.
5 stones.
I don't
and
think
you
there'd
can
be
set-
much change there.
What? What was that, Shy?
All he has to do is find 5 different colored stones with some magical powers.
No, that's only one gauntlet.
I mean,
Oh, sorry.
This is a pair of gauntlets.
oh god.
There you have
Everyone's
five
got.
Double the snapping power.
Okay. She says, bag of holding in. She says, we have the apprentices work on these all the time. She says, they're a very common item that we can certainly give you one.
With that, Palkas says we would also need foodstuffs and drink enough for. We're not sure how long we would be gone for. Water worries me. Do you have any solutions? Obviously, we can carry a lot of rations.
Yeah, if you try and pour out a bucket out there, it just vaporizes.
Wow. It's not the nether.
Also, don't try
Turns to steam
sleeping
before it ever leaves
because
your mouth.
as soon as you put your bed down.
Pull a bed out of the bag of holding.
She says, well, we have 2 magical options for that. There is one such, what's the word she's looking for? One such jug that produces water on a regular basis. Or if you want something that has a bit more variety, there's a different type that you could have.
Whichever one would prove to sustain us and potentially others if we end up bringing any survivors with us.
I'm also kind of unintended consequences averse when it comes to like this is a critical survival thing. So either way.
She says, we can produce
Mayonnaise can double as sunscreen.
one of these jugs,
No.
within
No, no. That's how you fry yourself, literally.
basted in mayonnaise.
Personally, I would recommend the water.
Yeah, you want the water one?
Yeah.
You don't want the alchemy jug?
Well, the problem is that you can only get like enough to serve the group of whatever is summoned once per day.
8
So if you
gallons of
choose
water.
mayonnaise, then you don't get
it's like-
water.
Yeah, that was my concern with the water thing. Because it's like
everybody's
you
gonna
get
want
like 8 gallons of water.
You know,
That, and it's like 2 gallons of mayonnaise. Like,
Right.
that's a lot of coleslaw or whatever, and it's like,
Ration
But
slaw.
mayonnaise and beer and honey.
not at the same time, though. Not on the same day. So it's like,
no.
okay, it takes a week to go by, then you have all the stuff to make like dinner.
And what are you
Just
having
A
for
dinner of beer and mayonnaise, which is kind of
Just make
carb heavy. Like, I'm already fat, and I don't really.
Just one thing, make sure you pick the mayonnaise last, else it's quite bad.
Let's
after
just
in hell.
go.
the residue on the inside?
No, it cleans itself.
Could we just get a decanter of water and just remove that as a possibility? Because I just know that one of us,
Yeah.
on some
Absolutely.
We're gonna find
staying up
a
to
cursed
watch for bad guys.
decanter of endless mayonnaise,
suddenly-
and it's just knobby.
Mayonnaise.
There you go.
I'll find a creature that sustains itself on mayonnaise.
No, it's not a cursed
Its name
decanter
is
of endless
Grimm.
mayonnaise. It's a decanter of endless mayonnaise with features.
Well, no, because the cursed version is all Miracle Whip.
Don't pick up Miracle Whip, man. All right, so
Anyway, getting back to
my vote is for the decanter of water. But what are others' opinions on this?
I would lean in that direction. I mean, I would accept the alchemy jug if that's where the party wants to go, but I think the water thing would be better.
We may need to provide water for scores of people.
Mm-hmm.
Endless water is going to be more useful.
It may also be useful should one of us be submerged in lava.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, to soothe the burning until somebody can sleep it off, you know.
Okay.
But wouldn't that turn it into obsidian?
Shut it.
I think mayonnaise would be more helpful in that case. If you want to soothe burns,
That's
probably
if you get gum in your hair or something, you know.
Wait, what?
Mayonnaise and peanut butter, right?
Okay. All right. So one decanter of endless water coming up.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So she says, please allow me, I'd say like like a day and a half to come up with the rest of these items and do the enchantments for imbuing your existing ones. And then in the meantime, she kind of writes down some directions for you on how you can get to, the appropriate literature to study up about Avernus and devils.
Mm-hmm. Like, do they like mayonnaise?
I mean, that's why you always go with the alchemy jug, man, because you can trade mayonnaise with devils all day long.
Right.
You never know when you're going to need mayonnaise.
I would say, if possible, we try to get a month's worth of rations for all of us.
We're gonna encounter a dungeon puzzle where we have to make like 3,000 turkey sandwiches.
Rations.
They're just gonna be really dry sandwiches.
We're talking
Nobody likes
MREs
that.
here. These are not gonna be.
No. I'm talking about the.
Oh.
Oh, I wish we had all that mayonnaise.
Wow, wouldn't it be great if we had some
Wouldn't
honey?
that have been handy?
That would be the answer. Oh my gosh, animated turkey sandwiches coming in. Mayo.
So I really stand by the comment that I made on Discord now. YouTube video should be called Mayo.
That can be a ring.
Okay, so what do you want to do for the day and a half?
Study.
Okay. Well, I mean that's like
Study
one
like
thing.
I've never studied before because my character has never studied before, except how to read.
All right, so let me.
Well, I will ask her if there is a blacksmith in Candlekeep.
She says yes. There is a very skilled one. So I'm gonna give you a couple of
And
handouts.
ask for directions to said skilled blacksmith.
Sorry.
I'm like just trying to type a few things. There we go. Closed. All right. Oh boy.
Yeah. So there's some bedtime reading for you. Yes, there is a. She'll give you directions to the black.
Ready for this stream?
Like we get a full night rest, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. So
I don't know.
Coyra
I'm not finding where their secret weakness is mayonnaise.
It's your last good
So
rest.
Coyra just goes outside to just try to get some info from the animal with speak with animals. Seeing
Okay.
if they know anything. I mean, they live around this place. Maybe they pick up info.
Okay.
So that's how she's studying.
Okay. You will learn all the quirky habits of the various monks around Candlekeep. You know which ones like mayonnaise on their turkey sandwiches.
No, that info will be used. Just
Whether
watch.
it's real mayonnaise or miracle.
Yeah, and
You
then
have found
different-
3,700 acorns.
Perfect. Rations.
Gonna need to feed those furry balls.
About the mayonnaise. I've
Fluffy, they were
difference-
fluffy balls.
Fluffy balls.
Like, I noticed the difference where I lived. Like, in Belgium, it's mayonnaise mainly made out of lemons, and here it's more a sweet taste. So there's also different kinds. What kind do they want?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
That's an important question.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering how long before Slobber Chops goes after her.
So that's actually a very good point, right? While you guys are talking, Slobber Chops has been kind of like walking round the study, arch back, like doing the sideways catwalk thing, you know,
With the imp?
with Jezebel,
Yeah.
just like completely like, just fluffy tail, like occasionally like flapping up, and then like. So Slobber Chops is not impressed with Jezebel. And to this, Silvera will say,
What?
I don't think Slobber Chops should stay here. Like, I don't think Slobber Chops should go to Avernus with you, but I don't think
either,
he should stay here. She says, maybe you could drop him off with my friend Traxigor. And Jezebel is kind of like eyeballing Slobber Chops, like, bring it, punk. You know, like, they're just like stalking each other around the room. Just like, and before you go, actually, hang on, let me scroll because I was reading a lot. Severa will say, in addition to your reading here, she says, Traxigor is looking after an old friend of mine, someone with a history of battling devils in the Nine Hells, and I think you'll enjoy her company very much. So she lives with Traxigor, and I'm sure he will introduce you when you arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
She says, but maybe you could leave Slobber Chops with Traxigor for a while.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Palkas says that's entirely up to Slobber Chops.
True.
Maybe he wants to go to hell.
If only Slobber Chops was paying attention. He's busy like arch back stalking the closet around the room. Okay. So that's a lot of text there about the devils and Avernus. Well, there's a lot of text there about the 9 layers of hell in general. I wouldn't worry too much unless you really want to go further down the river about the other layers. But you know, there is some good stuff there if you're kind of not familiar with how this stuff works. So yeah.
So I kinda accidentally closed Roll20 somehow and I lost 2 handouts.
Aha.
They're under player handouts and then supplemental material. On the there's the chat tab and then the second
those
tab that
2.
looks at.
Thank you.
There you
Excuse me.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I clicked the button on my mouse.
No worries. So is there any? So Grimm, you're heading off to the blacksmith as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I voiced my intention by, well, I asked her about a blacksmith, you know, just in case anybody else wanted to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Thorn wants some like fancy arrows.
Okay.
Palkas
And
will
by the
stay
way,
and
does
study.
Thorn want a backup bow? I'm just thinking carrying around a bow with 2 arrows is kind of pointless.
I've got more arrows now.
No, I'm saying, do you want a backup bow just in case? I don't use it that often, so.
Oh, yeah, sure. We can maybe fit it in the bag of holding. Not, I can certainly sling it across my back anyway.
In that case, I give you the bow that Shy gave me, or Coyra gave me.
I gave you a bow?
Community.
nobody
bow.
wanted.
It's like the white elephant gift.
I'm gonna leave it with
What?
Slobber Chops and the dude.
What? I gave you a bow? What?
It was a bow that we looted off some
Yeah, it was a
yeah,
while back.
correct.
Mm-hmm. You tried your hand with ranged combat
Yes.
once upon a time and then decided it wasn't for you because
Yes,
it's made of dead
indeed.
things.
Yes, it's the essence of pure evil. I remember.
That must be why Thorn likes it.
Okay. So you guys head off to the blacksmith, and the mood, like, as you kind of leave Silvera's place. Oh, well, is there anything else you guys want to ask her, or any like other stuff before we move on?
I think so.
I mean, you know where she's at, right?
I guess I would ask her questions about the sending stones.
Okay.
Who did she give those to? Or give one to?
I don't know who took it.
We didn't exactly decide.
Exactly. The other question would be, well, actually, I'll take the stone. There we go. And
I was gonna suggest giving it to Palkas anyway.
all right. How often, or what kind of cipher should we have? Because he's not one for codes.
She says, oh, sorry.
Like
Go on,
for
Sean.
his pineapples.
Coyra was actually thinking about that. She had the idea, what if we talk about Sniffles? Use him as a way
The
of...
rat.
Yes! Who is gonna suspect a rat? Talk about Sniffles.
She said, Silvera will say, whatever you guys come up with. She says, just let me know.
Palkas then takes the stone over to Coyra and says, I don't understand. You take it. And Palkas says, how often should we inform you of things we've found?
She says, well, sorry for any confusion. She says, this is kind of, if you need some help exiting Avernus.
Ah.
She says, there's no, there isn't a wizard on the other end waiting to send you back. She says, if you're not able to find your own way, then please use this to let me know and I will make arrangements.
Heimdall, open the Bifrost.
Exactly.
Shooting up a flare. Hey, we need evac now.
Extraction.
Hey!
Extraction for 1,032 people, please.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what she wants. You know, I mean, she doesn't know what you're going to find there, right? And she'll say this very openly. She doesn't know, like, how many survivors. She's expecting it to be a significant number. And she doesn't know, like, what the situation is. Are they, like, holding out in the high hall, or are they, you know, scattered all over the place? So, you know.
And if she never hears back from us, she'll just assume we all died in Avernus.
Yeah.
That was...
Chuck that sending stone out the window.
No, just cry on it.
And get her mediocre apprentice, apparently, to make another pair.
Come to find out, there's like a massive time differential where like a day in Avernus takes like 1,000 years on the prime material.
Palkas.
Giving her ideas again. Don't do that.
Palkas says,
So it's like,
if all we need is to let you know that we are ready to be sent back, then I suggest we just choose 3 colors. Black, meaning we need to go as soon as humanly possible. Looking at her, I'm assuming she's a human?
She's
Yes.
tiefling.
Oh, no, yes, you're right. She's tiefling.
As
Thank
soon
you.
as tiefling possible. Red would be we're in danger. There may be combat upon our return. Blue would be we can go as soon as you're ready. And if we include a number, that also is the number that we are going to be trying to return with. So, for example, blue 5.
That's optimistic.
Or 6. Sorry, slobber chops. Blue 6 is all we would say. And that would mean a cool return when you're ready for 6 entities.
She says, okay.
No? Yes?
She says,
She's
I'm not-
agreeing to whatever we suggest. It
Says,
could be
well-
like, we could call and order a pizza, and that's what she'll. Okay, great.
Well, it's just okay. Palkas would say,
she's
I-
like, perhaps you don't. And I mean, there are limitations to this kind of magic. Planar shifting like this is not something that we can arrange for thousands of people. She says, so while I appreciate the desire to bring them all back as soon as you can, there aren't enough wizards in Candlekeep to do that.
Okay. What is the limit that we should be aware of? Because if we actually are able to find, and it is a possibility, we could rescue older Ravengard,
She says, I hope that you do.
then I would want to be sure that all of us can return.
She says, Trexico will be able to tell you more about that. But he says, I believe that he can transport 8 people.
Okay. Well, there's 5 of us. If you exclude
6 of us
Slobber
with
Chops.
Rhea. 6 with Rhea.
6 with what?
Rhea.
Oh, right. Yes. Thank you.
She's like,
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm like
actually,
looking at the number of
Nicole, is
characters
she
along
also
the
getting
bottom
an
here.
enchanted thing?
What's that?
oh yeah.
Would she also be getting an enchanted thing? And would we know what she's getting?
So Rhea does hand over her longsword and says to Silvera
I have
that
trouble
she would
hitting
like her to imbue this in order to be able to damage devils. She's like got some hate in her eyes, you know. She wants to go murder some devils.
As long as it helps her to hit better.
Oh, she leveled up.
Good.
She hits well. It's the if bit though.
Okay.
So up to 8 people. Is it you that would be listening at the other end?
She says, yes, I'm going to keep this.
Okay. So, Coyra, you now have 1 sending stone.
Wait, what? Oh yeah, you handed it to me.
Don't forget. You're our ticket back.
We're doomed.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
You're the only one with healing.
Stone.
And the ability to transform and potentially escape if needed. I feel if anyone is most likely to survive this, it's likely you.
Coyra looks really surprised by that.
Yeah, druids are like cockroaches.
Only if they want to be. And up to 2 times a day. No. Sorry. So I guess we split off then and do our stuff. Palkas is studying. Who's going to the blacksmith?
I am.
And
I
so
think
am I.
Thorn is.
Okay. Malvola? Are you studying or blacksmithing or something else?
There's a couple things that I want to take care of. Most of it is going to be studying.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
going back and forth in my head whether I want to do. I, as a player, haven't decided if I want to do this yet. I have that +1 mace that we got out of the statue,
Mm-hmm.
and I can turn that into my packed weapon. And I'm on the fence if I want to do that or not. Fortunately, I can do that in an hour, so it's not really critical whether I make that decision right now or not.
Fair enough. Coyra?
Yeah, Coyra is trying to study via animals.
Oh, that's right. You're
Yes.
talking to the animal. You're Dr.
She's learning all
Dolittle.
the secrets of Candlekeep.
I mean, you never know when the secrets come handy. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. If I know what color Silvira's
What-
underwear is. Yep.
Indeed. Just imagine if you need to know it.
A little bird told me. Seriously,
A little
bird
blue
told
bird.
me.
Little
You
pervert
tweeted it
bird.
that right.
Tweeted at you. Aw. Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the land of mayonnaise.
Okay, so heading off to the blacksmith. So you have directions to both, right? Blacksmith and books on Avernus, and the devils. So a blacksmith, and as you head out of Silvera's place, yeah, this is where we got to. As you head out of Silvera's place, the mood in Candlekeep is so vastly different from Baldur's Gate that it's impossible to ignore. Everybody seems happy and kind of, are going about their day-to-day business. They've all taken their joy. It's fine. Baldur's Gate is like, everybody is like, shit is hitting the fan. My life is in shambles, kind of, so it's opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Can't decide which one's worse.
So yeah, directions to the blacksmith are pretty self-explanatory. You do pass right by the Hearth, the single pub in Candlekeep, on the way there as well. Seems like might be a good place to stay tonight, kind of thing. Seems like you hear music from inside, lots of happiness and laughter, and and we've already forgotten the code. Yes.
Ascending stone.
So yeah, you can arrive at the blacksmith in a very short amount of time. So you arrive and it's like it looks like a very kind of posh blacksmith. There's in Baldur's Gate it would have been like metal and odds and ends strewn everywhere with crappy anvils or bellows that are barely holding themselves together and all this stuff. And here it's like very organized, like things are like just so, and the anvil is pristine, and the furnace is like well swept, and
There's pegboards with outlines for all the different.
Yep.
Are there wares on display, kind of thing?
Yeah. There's a variety.
And my first task is I'm looking through all the blades they've got. I'm looking specifically at katana.
Okay. Yeah, there's just, well, it seems like there's for the other like more common blades, there's like a few different like hilt styles or lengths of grip or whatever. The katana, there's just the one style, so it doesn't seem like something they make on a regular basis, but they do have one that you could snag.
I hope it has a sheath as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the time to examine it. Let the blacksmith know whatever
Okay.
he wants.
I just need some silvered arrows. A quiverful.
Okay. The blacksmith kind of raises an eyebrow a little bit. Says,
Werewolves.
It's not something we keep readily available, but we could have some made up for you. When do you need them?
Tomorrow, if possible.
It says, well, there is a small fee for rush, for expediting work like that, but but that can be arranged. So, yeah, he'll kind of say yes. Quiverful ready for you tomorrow, sir.
Okay.
And holding up the katana, how much is this?
For you, my friend, it's free.
Yeah,
I
right.
just need a smile. No.
That is the most expensive item ever.
From Grimm,
Also,
yes.
you might
I'm sorry,
actually vomit.
that cost is a little too high.
It just costs one character.
He's gonna give you the standard kind of sales price of 15 gold pieces.
Okay.
Please and thank you.
And I'll ask him if he wants the longsword I looted off of the bandit, one of the evil guys that was with Devil on the road, because I don't need it anymore.
He takes it from you and kind of like looks at the metal of it, and he's kind of like holding it, like tilting it a little bit, and he says, "Well, I suppose we could reforge it."
I'm not asking for anything off the cost. I'm just saying, hey, you want this?
Oh. He says,
I don't. Now that I've got the katana,
This
I
down
don't need
and make
this.
something good out of it.
I don't need this anymore. Can you use it?
Gotcha. Okay. He'll say, "Oh yeah." Oh, he says, "Well, we could give. We could certainly take a try at making a better weapon from this."
Well, you might get enough out of that to make a knife.
He says, "Yeah, no problem."
I'll pay him for the katana and attach it
Okay.
opposite on my belt, opposite the whip.
Cool. Nice.
I don't want to know.
I'm out of the loop on this one.
Yeah,
So-
don't worry about it. More butt spot shenanigans.
Oh, I see. Okay. So Silver Arrow's ready for tomorrow. He does he says perhaps a small deposit would be, amicable to you. Could we say 50% down and
Of course.
okay.
I'll hand over 150 GP.
Okay. Oh, it says, "Oh, very generous of you, sir. Thank you." And it says, "Yeah, ready for you tomorrow."
Fantastic.
And as he's walking away, he's already calling his, blacksmiths over to attend to the
Get to
task.
work.
Right. We got a whole bunch of silver arrows to make, boys. Okay.
So Coyra
It's
remembered
back on the
one thing,
menu.
that she still has the tapestry of one of those 7 near hell, and she just asks, I forgot her name, sorry. She
Silver.
asks if Silvera can do anything with it, as she has no need for it anymore. Maybe
Blanket.
they have some use for it. You never know.
She kind of like, I mean, it's pretty big, right? So she actually she'll unroll it, and she'll look at the depiction on it, and then she'll say, "I don't want this." She says, "I can dispose of it for you. I'd be happy to burn it for you if you like."
Sure.
Turn it into cleaning rags.
She says, "I'm sorry, but this is not a depiction that I would welcome in my home."
Totally understandable. I just needed a blanket at that time.
Oh yes, says, "I understand." Okay.
And then there's Palkas's that smells like a mannish old lady.
He didn't even use those blankets or tapestries. He just left them there.
So, I don't know. What else are you guys doing?
So
That's
I'm
it.
done.
We can go and help with the research if that's useful. Just can't really.
If it's alright with you, DM, I'm going to read about the devils and the 9 hells in between this and next episode.
Yeah.
Because there's...
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little dry. To be honest, I looked at it and thought a lot of this is stuff that you guys probably already know. So,
Are you sure about that?
well, this is why I provided it, because just in case, right? It's there
Well,
if you want to.
it's also not the most like stream friendly content kind of thing.
It's a little dry, perhaps. Just need some mayonnaise.
Damn.
Alright, fine.
Or maybe some oil or honey.
I mean, either.
Honey so it sticks with you.
Oh.
Have you ever tried combining mayonnaise and honey? I mean, I haven't. It sounds absolutely gross. It was just the thought that suddenly hit me.
Like super sweet mayo, super sweet sticky mayo.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. Proportions would be the kicker.
It would be.
Yeah. It's like a product that I saw on the shelf at the grocery store is pre-mixed combination of Dijon mustard and mayonnaise, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Just
That's-
no.
No, that's lazy. That's lazy. Thank you.
I feel like you wouldn't be able to eat that though, the honey and the mayonnaise. You put it in your mouth and it would just like immediately, you just wouldn't be able to move your mouth anymore. It would just be like stuck shut.
So maybe cucumber to give a sort of support layer and provide some moisture in the protein.
Oh yeah. You would need something to kind of break that up, wouldn't you?
Or cornflakes.
Cornflakes, yeah, maybe.
You know what? Y'all head to Avernus. I'm going this way.
Right?
I'm starting to think,
Well, like, apparently half of the party
instead?
needs to go get a sandwich or something.
Seeing what you guys want to eat, hell actually sounds like a nicer place. Like, yeah.
yeah, I think at this point, Grimm's going to find a
peanuts.
nice, quiet, secluded place, do some meditation, some training, that kind of thing. You guys do the research and talk about this bizarre stuff.
Yeah. I think Thorn's just going to go and start drinking cheap whiskey.
Okay. All right. So the end of a fairly long day. Thorn is probably at the hearth. Becoming fairly well known among the patrons, I think.
She'd probably have thought to arrange rooms for the group there as well.
Okay.
For what reason is he
The
known?
question is,
Stabbing
will
him
you
for
be
drinking?
sober enough to tell us about the rooms?
Probably.
Okay.
It takes Thorn quite a lot to get drunk.
Okay. So your brains at this point, those of you who've been studying, feel pretty crammed full of info. You've read until you just can't keep your eyes open anymore, and can make your way back through Candlekeep to the hearth, and all meet up there for a night's rest.
Okay.
I mean, just to kind of move it along a bit, is there anything else you want to do while you're in Candlekeep?
Not
Okay.
I can't think of anything.
Me neither.
It's like saying, is there anything you want before I go to the grocery store?
Yeah,
like,
but when you're
what?
done in the grocery store, it's like, oh yes, I want that, I want that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like before you go,
Nah, there's nothing.
Well,
When you get there, it's like,
you know,
oh.
you're going to Avernus, right? Are there any provisions that you want to?
Well, like I said, we'd
rations
a month of
and-
rations
and the water,
yeah, magic items.
magic items.
Any advice and studying that we can get. So Last minute tips. Where are we going to come out at?
Last minute
Supposedly.
tips don't go.
Signs
Was there
on
not a
walls.
first minute tip?
Are we going to be teleported directly to the same spot that the town was at, in the middle of it? Where to?
Or can they not predict where we teleport to as it's always shifting?
Well, that would be the question to ask her friend that was going to cast the plane shift thing.
Exactly.
Like,
I'd say
I've-
our next step would be to collect our magic items,
mm,
find out what features they have.
I'm remembering it correctly, right? That it's like always shifting.
Yeah, she
I
said
think
it was
so.
a
That was
map,
the
but
reason
it
that it was not
wasn't
mapped.
accurate because things move around.
Yeah. In Avernus,
There would be
it's impossible to map.
a lot of quiet conversation with Silvera and Palkas about quasits and getting familiars and stuff, and how she obtained one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she'd share with you how she found Jezebel and that Jezebel has been with her for a very long time.
That's actually something Coyra is also interested in.
Okay. Yeah, she says that, you know, it's through a kind of traditional ritual that Candle Keep when she was first apprenticed there, that she came by Jezebel and that they became bonded together, and that was many years ago.
Okay.
Okay. So then we can always kind of backtrack a little bit if we need to, but let's fast forward then to kind of 24 hours later. You're coming kind of to the evening of your second day at Candlekeep, and yeah, you spent a significant amount of time kind of talking through the first day, and you kind of a messenger, if you're still studying or at the hearth or wherever, the messenger will seek you out, and there is kind of hands you a quickly scribbled kind of paper note from Silvera saying that the creation of your items, the enchantment of your items is complete, and that she has also arranged for transport for you to Traxagor's tower. So to head to her house whenever you're ready to leave.
See, I knew we weren't going to have these horses very long.
So I have a quick
They live.
out of character question. How do I add that bag thingy? Like, is it just adding to my item list and I need to roll when I use it, or is there a special way to add it so it auto-rolls when I use it?
Do they have magic items? Wait, hang on.
Yeah, I just added a +1 mall to mine.
You did what?
I was able to add a +1 mall to mine.
So you can find it in the compendium.
Yeah, you can grab, if you search for Bag of Tricks in the I tab.
Yeah.
And then you can drag that.
But my character sheet is not allowed to be a popped out window, correct?
Yeah, you can't do it while it's popped out.
Okay,
You can close that and then open it on the regular screen.
Yep, doing that now. And how do I add it then?
You just
You should be able to just grab it and drag it over. Click.
click and drag it onto your character sheet that is open. Preferably over the item list. But it should just work anywhere on the sheet.
What I did was just edit the entry for my rapier to put 1 in the magic bonus space without bothering with anyone.
I added it, but it's not clickable.
That's fine. You can probably just copy the information and paste it
Oh yeah,
like in a notes or something.
yeah.
Just-
I already added the info to my
Okay.
list, basically.
Do you want to, as a quick kind of reminder almost, do you want to ask anybody here or Silvera about your bag of beans? Just seeing that in Twitch.
I thought I asked about that. Apparently not.
Well, Thorn
If I
hasn't
didn't
died
ask
yet,
about
so
it, yeah, that thing I just forgot to mention. Yeah, Coyra actually asks about a bag of beans, and she also mentioned that Thorn decided to nom on one.
Okay. So Silvera will cast a spell to identify, the magic that is contained within this bag of beans. And can I share this? It is literally a bag of beans. So if you look in the magic compendium, if you search for bag of beans, you'll see what it is.
Do I still need to have the room number with it?
Nope, because you now have as much info as I do, so.
Okay, I'll remove that. See compendium. There.
Whoa.
Else I'm gonna forget about that.
Okay.
If I want to know what it does.
Oh
It
my
does
god.
lots of fun stuff.
Wow.
So much fun.
Yes.
I feel like Thorn got really lucky.
I am so lucky to be alive.
Yes, you are.
yeah, no kidding.
Like
Yes,
a couple of
you
weeks ago. Oh,
Imagine
my
if she'd had you roll.
godfathers.
Oh, I rolled. I rolled.
It sprouted a tree.
A hungry bullet burrows up and attacks. I mean,
Chest burster.
I'm now wondering which one you got.
I think it was the fruit tree. So it was like,
Oh, that would have been great if you'd like rolled the effects of all of the potions. He gets hit with all of them at once. He's like a tripping ball.
first,
That takes like a minute.
I mean, that's why he wasn't hungry. That
Yeah.
explains so much.
There would be one
It's
other
also
thing.
why he's been constipated.
Indeed.
There would be one other thing. Palkas would try to find time to pull Malvola aside and have a whispered conversation. We could potentially have them try to identify the vial.
Oh, the stuff, like the height.
The thing we sold, the MacGuffin. That's a great idea.
It is something that has scared all of us. But I'm hesitant to reveal it nonetheless. Especially not without the rest of the group's interest in this. But I thought I'd come to you first, since you are the keeper. Oh, keeper.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going back and forth in my mind about several things that you had asked if Kashcah had asked if we wanted to have, like, if there was anything else that we wanted to talk to Silvera about, and the potential of rewinding.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to do that at this point because so many things have come up that I'm like, okay, I want to ask about this and this and this and this and this.
Mm-hmm. So then, should we speak with the others, come to a consensus?
Yeah, I think that would be a.
Right. So Palkas would come individually to each person, let them know what he's talking about, except Grimm. Grimm wasn't there.
Wait, sorry, what? I was reading the bean stuff a little bit.
So for those that are watching right now, it's a throwback to episode 1, I think, when the party was originally created. The history is that the group stole some stuff, and among it was a vial that could hold no more than a few perfume drops. It spoke to us, though. We could hear it in our minds, and we knew it needed to be free. But now that it is, you can't bring yourself to open it. So we granted it freedom from where it was. But we don't want to open it because we're all terrified about what might be inside. And so we've been hiding this vial the whole time. And it was the heist that originally landed Palkas in prison. He was the only one caught. But Nabi's previous character was involved in it, who has since passed. So therefore his current character, Grimm, was not aware of this. So
Grimm don't know nothing.
That being said, Palkas goes around and talks to Thorn and Coyra and asks them their opinions on whether or not we should try and have this item identified.
Yeah. Why not? Let's do it.
Coyra?
Yeah, sure.
You're like, okay.
If Grimm notices this, he thinks you're talking back.
Coyra has been just going along with it so far,
So, I guess Palkas would come back to Malvola and say, everyone that was of the original group has agreed. We should have it questioned by the peoples here, by Silvira. Sorry.
Sorry, that's my...
Silvira.
I introduced that idea. That
Palkas says to Malvola, it's probably best if only one or two of us goes. Would you like me to come along with you? Did you want to do this yourself?
I can take care of that. I have a couple other things that I wanted to speak with her about.
Okay.
That I'm kind of not really wanting to be public.
Okay. And he says, then I'll retire to my bed chambers for the night. No, I'm assuming this is like the night before or something. If you receive the information this evening, feel free to come in and let each of us know. Okay. I'll report back to the others. And Palkas would pretty much say, it's commencing. More information may be found tonight, if not tomorrow.
Yeah, cool.
So goodbye, Malvola. It's been nice knowing you.
Suddenly tomorrow, somebody totally different shows up to go with.
This identifies you as a wanted devil. No, I'm kidding.
And before it marks Grimm. Somehow.
So, all right. There you go. That was one of the things that I was looking to have Silvera do.
Okay.
And I'm not even the one doing it.
Okay. So do you guys want to do this now? Like the
I do if you're ready.
Identification of the stolen item?
I would like to, but I don't know if the others do.
Question, would they know it's stolen? Like, is it well known that that thing is stolen?
I don't know that they would.
I mean, at the time, so you don't know if they know, right? But what you do know is that at the time in Baldur's Gate, like, there was some kind of, news and gossip about it, about the theft. That was quite a while ago, right? And whether that reached Candlekeep or not, we don't know.
Yeah.
And even if then, I mean, it fell out of an infernal farmer's pocket.
Indeed. The farmer that attacked us when he
This
flew
is
away.
going to be a
collapsed.
fun deception check.
It's not my deception check to make. If it's even happening, I don't know.
So I will try and I don't know if I don't want to just like barge into her place kind of thing. If she's got like a secretary or something like that, that's probably the route.
Yeah, so there is the same person that greeted you when you first arrived at her house with Philastafisk. They are there. So yeah, you could easily approach them before you actually spoke to Silvera.
I would, and basically I have to think of how to explain what.
Okay.
I would like to. I've thought of a couple other questions that I'd like to speak with Silvera about. Would it be possible for me to arrange a meeting with her?
He's so this gentleman says, "Oh, of course. Come in. Take a seat. I'm sure she'll be right with you." And he kind of scurries off, and 5 minutes pass by, and then Silvera kind of walks swiftly towards you.
Hello.
Just saying.
I had a couple things that I wanted to talk to you about a bit more privately than in front of like everybody.
Oh, she says, "Oh, please," and she gestures to one of the comfy chairs. She's like, "Have a seat." How can I help
That
you?
is a good point, Tim. I like dig into like inside my clothes or pockets or something and pull out a handkerchief. And I hand it to her. It is marked with the emblem of an archmage, quote unquote. That's as much information as I have. And I asking her, do you recognize this mark? Can you tell me who this is? Do you have any information about this person at all?
That's my mark. You're gonna die now.
It's her own mark. I'm just like, oh shit. Didn't realize it.
That would be really weird considering how that wizard works into my back.
And she does ask you, "How did you come by this?"
I was abducted as a child and been offered as a sacrifice to some sort of infernal power. I don't really have too much information about who that was. Apparently, that power was offended that they were offering me as a sacrifice, took it out on that wizard, like, you impudent fool, boop, done. The whole tower disappeared. Everything gone. The only thing that was left was this and some debris and other, wreckage. And I came to the next day, and this was pretty much all that was.
She says, "That is a very interesting circumstance to find yourself in." She says,
It's also how I became able to do the things that I've been, the stuff that.
She says, "I don't recognize this mark off the top of my head." She says, "But perhaps with some study I could help you find the owner. Would you be willing to leave this with me? Or..."
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay.
Not
She
even
says,
an insight check either. Ooh.
she says,
I have no reason to not trust her so far. She's been more than, compliant and helpful to.
Mm-hmm.
It's what she wanted you to do.
One of the nicest people we've actually encountered so far.
Yeah.
Well, it's
She's not
one of the
trying to
few
kill
people
you?
we haven't just stabbed in the face.
So,
Everybody's looking at you, Thorn.
Couple other things.
Haven't
Our
stabbed in the face yet.
our group originally came together around a particular adventure where we were tasked with retrieving an object, and the object has some pretty peculiar attributes that we're curious as to what it is, what it does, what, like, where did this thing come from? We don't know anything, but it kind of spoke to us when we acquired it, and it hasn't really done much since. But it's one of those things of, it's been in the back of Palkas's mind, at least, mine to an extent, but not nearly as much, because it wasn't until he said something about it that I even thought to ask you about.
Well, truth be told, you've had other voices in your head to worry about, so.
Yeah, I was wondering, is magic items talking to you in your head a common thing?
she says, "Do you have this?"
Wouldn't you like to know?
Do you have
There's
this
a
item?
The voices tell me it's normal.
Very much so. Nothing to worry about. The voices tell me they're harmless.
You can trust the voices, of course.
I haven't murdered any of you yet.
It's a fair point.
So I would, again, rummage around in pockets and such, and it's a small vial. I'm not sure how. I didn't really get a description of. It's apparently tiny. So.
It is like a small glass stoppered vial, and it has a liquid inside it, and the liquid looks like it's like gold, like liquid gold.
Felis Felicus.
So she says, "Do you mind?" And she kind of puts her hand out to.
I will hand it to her and let her do what she's going to. No, there are not toenail clippings. That is a different vial in a different pocket.
I'm just making sure you pulled out the right vial.
Okay, so you hand her the vial, and she says, "With your permission, I'd like to open this." She says, "I think I know what it is, but the tiniest of tastes will tell me."
She's gonna drink what was talking to you?
Well, we had the exact same response as the thing, and that makes me think that it's a property of the thing and that she's being affected.
Yeah, but that's her problem.
Yeah, I will I'll permit that.
She says, "I won't drink enough for it to affect me." She says, "I just want to taste a small amount."
Says the crack addict, right?
Just one more hit.
Just a little bit. Just once.
So
I'll only eat one bean.
That's the perfect one right there.
So she'll kind of very carefully unstop this vial, and she puts her finger just on the very top of the vial and just tips it enough to where the liquid just touches her finger, and then she licks her finger where that was. And she says, "Yes, just as I thought." She says, "This is a potion of luck."
Okay. That just.
I hear him like type, what is this?
Let's see. Potion of luck? There's no potions of luck, so I don't know.
It's because it's my own homebrew thing.
Kashka's been cooking.
Wow.
Goes great with beans.
Yeah, just go great with beans.
Be better with mayonnaise.
Only drinkable by
Even
lucky,
better with mayonnaise.
lucky bastard.
So she says, yeah, this is a potion of luck. She says she stoppers the little vial back up and she kind of tips it backwards and forwards and says, it looks about you like you've got about like 5 or 6 doses in here. She says you only need a very small amount. She says just take a tiny sip. I'm so lucky.
Chug.
Yeah, you are. That stuff will kill people.
It's an extra 5d6 of damage when Thorn stabs somebody in the face.
Only from rapier damage,
It's
though.
in other places as well, you know.
Well,
Alright, so I will forward you the details of how that works so you can put them along with the item.
yeah. Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Okay. Guess we'll find out if it was worth spending time in prison for.
What prison? I wasn't dead.
Yeah, thanks. Gaining the enmity of many a noble.
That's pretty much all I had.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. She says, okay, well, back to work for me. She says, and I'll see you tomorrow, no doubt.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna retire for the evening. If I bump into any of us, I will pass along. I should have more information.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. That works. Alright.
He said he'd be right back.
Yeah. I'm seeing it. So.
I rolled for the beans.
Oh, thank you. That's
Bean
Mark.
roll.
How did you do?
Terrible. 1 4 and 2 1s. I already subtracted 1 from
Okay.
Thorn.
Okay. So you got 5
Shenanigans.
beans. 5
Yes.
beans left. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Doke.
I don't know how to add weight to it, so I kinda didn't do that yet. So it's like in halves and stuff, and it's like scary stuff.
Okay. So so
I
then
mean,
Hope the weight
we
doesn't
talk a lot
matter
of
too much.
stuff about Palkas's wild magic being all doomed, but those beams.
And you willingly ate one.
Yep.
but they could be so
Thorn is
good.
nothing if not
Yes.
idiotic.
Upon reading what they can do, I'm so tempted to just plant them
I
all.
know, right?
Yep.
Just put them in somebody's flower box and watch
but
the
see-
mayhem.
The one issue I have is I can only do it 5 times. I want more.
Until it turns into a statue of you, and then you're like, oh crap!
Yeah, that's gonna be an issue then, but if I can survive for 24 hours, I have a dope statue of myself.
Jeez.
Okay, so are you ready to head back to Silvera's then? What's your plan there after getting kind of she sends you this message?
Head over there.
Sorry.
At least that's my intent.
Okay. All right.
Try to keep Slobberchops from chasing Jezebel.
So upon arriving at Silvera's house, she invites you all in, and starts delivering the gifts. So, your rapier is returned to you, Thorn. Palkas, your mole is returned with gem embedded already.
Thank you.
And your bag is given to you, Shy. It is the grey bag. So
Yeah.
She's got that for you. Bag of holding is delivered to Malvola. She delivers the decanter to the group, and
Rhea.
she delivers
Oh.
Rhea's weapon back to her, and Grimm's gauntlets to him.
Okay.
So everybody's
And
got
do I
their
get
stuff.
to know what the features are?
She says, I haven't attuned to them myself to, oh, actually, sorry, is this an attunement item? Oh,
Yeah, it is.
okay. She says, I haven't attuned to them myself, but I believe that, it has taken on a small, additional personality traits of an ogre in addition to their strength, she says. I believe the apprentice got a little overzealous in their attempts, and from what I can tell, well, are you familiar with ogres' tendencies to hoard items? From what I can tell, the gauntlets, while giving you the strength bonus, sorry, I'm just looking at Nobby's face. While giving you the strength bonus, also fill you with a compulsion to acquire items that are perhaps not the most useful.
Sounds like me playing Minecraft.
So they kind of turned me into a junk hoarder.
I mean, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So did she say this out loud?
I think Grimm had asked her out loud.
Yeah.
So yeah, she would say this out loud.
Palkas would say,
I asked about the law.
I don't think you should get the bag of holding then.
Well, there was.
Which, like, will we all know that there might be something wrong with our stuff too, or no?
I think mine's the only one that had a flaw
Okay.
It
or
is.
feature.
Okay.
that we know
Yeah,
of.
Yeah. Okay. So, the first thing Coyra wants to do is
Hey, that's what
take
you
one
want for like a what is it, +6 to your strength or something?
What? Oh, because it does the default 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
bumps
was
my.
like, wow, okay, well,
I thought it was just
maybe
a
there's
+2.
going to be a small side effect from
No,
this big of a
it-
bonus.
It bumps my strength up to 19, and as a result, gives me a +4. Basically, gives me the
Yeah.
same bonus to hit and damage as my dex does.
Yeah, so small side
Yeah.
effect for that.
Yeah. I'm just going to be hoard. Basically, I took on Flynn's flaw. Well, his flaw was to pick things up.
back to the start.
Yeah.
So when Coyra gets
So,
a back,
so the gauntlets are haunted by Flynn.
so when Coyra gets the bag, the first thing she wants, as she doesn't really know what it does, is like throw one of those balls on the ground. But she'll do that in an open space, like outside.
Okay.
Just out of
It's a
safe,
moose.
she's gonna try it once to see what it does.
Okay. All right. So, so do you want to roll it?
Yeah, 1d8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I've written it down, that is a boar.
Okay. So yeah, there is this kind of boar. Do you give the boar any command, or
Follow us.
okay? So
Coyra just looks amazed at the back like, this is amazing.
Samira stands back and is like, "Oh, okay. I didn't know we were going to be trying that. Please." And she looks immediately at Palkas. Please don't. You're
He's-
just going to have to trust me.
Coyra is just like, I didn't know what it was. I just saw fluffy balls. I want to know what they did.
She
Palkas
says,
is just touching the head, just, feeling the...
mhm. She says, well,
Luckily, attunement takes about an hour, so she can have us on our way before the attunement's done.
Yeah, that's true.
I might suddenly get the urge to start punching things.
or snag a bunch of useless books.
thing. There it is. Okay.
Well, I'd have to snag a semi-useless bag to put the books in.
That's true.
And she also gestures to 6 fairly significantly sized packs and says, I've crammed these with as much useful food as I can think of, she says. So I hope this is helpful in your journey, and there is one for each of you.
Cool.
Thank you.
And if you look inside, you'll see there is a massive amount of rations in there.
Alright.
All right. Yes. So who gets the bag of holding, and who gets the decanter of water? Because I think that was...
The bag of holding was my specific
There you go.
request.
Okay, that's what I
I
wanted
was
to make
gonna say,
sure of.
Malvola
Okay.
is-
So then the decanter
Like,
of
you
water...
all got, like, magic weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, this is why I would just want to
granted, I
make
already
sure.
had one, so...
So
Not-
decanter of water...
I will carry that as well if you want, because,
Sure you've got food and water on you then?
well, I would have enough water for all of us, I
Right.
think.
Yeah, why not?
Would we
My
be
whole
able to put
complete-
our food
the wa-
stores in your bag?
That was kind of the intention of me asking for it. The fact that she's
Just
like,
wanted
here's
to-
6 additional backpacks, and I'm like,
Just put it in the bag.
Shove it in the bag.
when you go, like, when you're shopping at the store, and they're like, put your bag in another bag, I'm like, what do you...
Let's wrap these bananas. It's almost like nature didn't give it a natural wrapping already.
Okay, so then who's got the decanter?
Malvola.
Okay. All right, cool.
Food and water.
And she does. She rolls up the map and says, this is for you guys as well.
Anybody got any like natural tendencies to know where they're going?
Yes.
Guess who gets the map?
Okay, then she says, if you're ready.
For what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then
Then she ushers you up the stairs, and you kind of ascend this spiraling staircase up a couple of floors, and she leads you into actually out a pair of double doors onto a crescent-shaped landing platform. And it has a stunning view of the sea that, the Candlekeep is up on this pinnacle of rock and has this fantastic view of the sea, which you might have taken in if you weren't kind of like instead slapped in the face. Well, not literally, but instead occupying your attention are 6 griffins who are waiting for you atop of this platform with saddles, and there are a couple of handlers standing there with the griffins, kind of holding on to like the various tack. And
Is that a boat on the roof?
Is that a boat on the roof?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, didn't we have this?
Yeah, let me find the handout here.
Oh, do you want to see the griffins? I wonder if the griffins have a handout. They do. Here we go. Have a griffin handout instead. There
I'll
you
take
go.
that too.
Griffin.
Wait, I'll put away the closet.
It doesn't have all the saddle and everything on. That's kind of a bummer. But So these griffins are there kind of waiting for you when you get up there, and she says, the griffins, and the handlers are kind of standing nearby, ready to help you with the griffins. And Silvera says, the griffins have instructions to fly you directly to Traxigor's tower. She says, don't worry, it's safe. And the handlers kind of like look like they're ready to kind of help you saddle up.
Definitely better than the thought that she was leading us up here to throw us off or something.
Palkas looks a little uncomfortable.
Coyra's eyes are just widened with the thought of I'm gonna ride a griffin.
Palkas says, do these creatures know the way they are taking us?
She says, absolutely. I wouldn't ask you to ride them there or offer this faster, safer travel to you if I didn't think it would get you there in one piece.
Okay.
Grimm will mount up.
Okay.
Can I pet him mid-flight?
Are you asking Silvera this? Or?
Yes.
She'll say absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay. Anybody not traveling via Griffin?
That's
Okay,
up,
so in which case
we'll
that's
see
up
you
to
when we
Rhea.
see you.
Right. Have fun walking.
Hi, Rhea.
Yeah, Rhea is
Oh, Slobber
kinda like-
Chops. Did we still got Slobber Chops with us, right?
Slobber Chops is still with you.
Yeah, he's still with us, as far as I know.
Yep, he's
Yeah,
still
was it not
hanging
that
out
we
with Grimm.
had to, if we wanted, leave him there where we're going now?
Yeah, that's Silvera's suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
With Silvera's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were gonna leave him with what's his name, Traxador.
Traxigor.
Traxigor.
Mm-hmm. I'll put it.
If Traxigor allows it.
That's true. There we go.
Traxigor.
Traxigor. So yeah, immediately gets a horrible nickname. And so, yeah, Rhea just like hops up immediately. She's got her regular pack, kind of over one shoulder, and the pack of food is on her back, and she just takes the hand of one of the handlers and kind of swings herself up to sit on this griffin, and she kind of reaches forward and gives the griffin some scritches, and we'll kind of wait for everybody else to do the same.
Palkas is mounted up, one hand on the griffin, the other hand with the maul. He looks like he's ready
Just
for battle,
Just imagining if his hand slipped on that maul from however high up.
It's more like he's got a death grip on the maul, like it's going to save him from falling somehow.
When it just, the idea of it potentially falling off, now I'm imagining Palkas having like a strap around his arm attached to the maul. Like the Wii controllers and stuff, just in case they fall.
It's not like a little hand sledge, it's like a really long sledge.
Maybe we should have gotten Palkas a balloon pack.
Yeah, I will. Malvola is like, I'm not sure about this, but okay, and kind of hesitant, but going along with it as far as mounting up and riding the group.
Yeah, one of the handlers is like,
Safe.
come on.
Coyra is more than ready to go, and while sitting on the griffin actually starts like stroking it already, like out of excitement.
Just whatever you do, don't look down.
It's just water.
So the griffins, after everybody's mounted up, the griffins take flight and head out to sea, flying just below the clouds. Candlekeep looks less majestic from the air, but grows smaller and smaller as the griffins soar westward. Large rocky islands pass below you, and beyond them lies the open sea. And you kind of watch the sun go down in the horizon as well. And it starts to kind of, starting to get low in the horizon, and it's casting this beautiful light across the ocean. As you start to kind of get worried about whether you're going to end up flying in the dark, you do see a windowless, doorless stone tower, which somehow floats in the sky ahead. The griffins pass through jagged holes, riddling the tower's conical peak, to land on the top floor, which has a spiral staircase leading down. So the griffins land.
I get off.
Significantly more enthusiastically dismount.
That was fun.
Okay.
Palkas actually leaves his hand on it for a moment and says, "Thank you." And then proceeds.
The griffin does like a little nod to you and kind of nudges you a little bit with its big beak.
And he's kind of like, wasn't it really expecting that? And he's like,
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this with a great deal of amusement.
Coyra actually did the same. After stroking a few times more, she says thank you.
Yeah, the griffin will kind of like lean in. And, it almost, that purring noise that birds can kind of make. That's what it's doing.
It's adorable.
I guess it's time to meet track score.
Okay.
So I will, approaching the top of the staircase, and hello.
Anyone home?
So as you kind of make your way, everybody dismounts the griffins and makes their way towards the spiral staircase. The griffins seem to kind of seem to kind of curl up together at the top of the tower as the sun sets. And Malvola kind of like looking down the spiral staircase. You can see a cluttered chamber beneath you, and you hear some kind of mumbling in common. But the voice sounds a little weird. Yeah, just like that.
I'm not taking no dang cat. They think this place is a litter box.
So
yeah, proceed on, I guess.
I was gonna say, if nobody's coming up, might as well go down.
Okay. So yeah, proceeding down, you see this cluttered chamber is actually illuminated by various objects upon which continual flame spells have been cast. And scurrying around the room is an otter dressed in a tiny red cassock.
What's a cassock?
It's like this kind of like robe, like it has like an opening down the front, kind of small collar, and yeah. It's almost like a coat. Or
otter?
An otter?
An otter, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Palkas dies of cuteness.
I really want Coyra to melt.
I need to roll a new character.
Another familiar, or?
Well, you kind of take a moment to look around and then realize that actually the mumbling in common is coming from the otter.
Well, maybe that's practical.
And it's saying, it mentions while you're kind of making your way down the stairs, and this otter still doesn't seem to have noticed you, is scurrying around on top of like some of the tables, and you hear it mumbling something about a tuning fork. And then suddenly it notices you coming down the stairs and does that thing that otters do where it sits upright on its hind legs and says out loud in common, "Lulu, wake up! Our guests have arrived!"
Oh boy.
Your Traxagor?
And then at the sound of her name, a small elephant with golden fur appears from under a pile of blankets
Why not?
near a table strewn with alchemical equipment. The elephant takes to the air on feathery wings and lets out a pleasing trumpet sound.
Do we get him in?
All right, so hang on.
Is this otter like normal otter size?
Okay, first of all, look at this art.
Oh my gosh.
So
adorable.
So there wasn't any art with this, right? So I started looking around for art to see if somebody else had done this, and I came across this amazing art of Traxagor by a creator called P. Mal from Paper D&D. This person, has given permission for this art to be used in this adventure. So please go check them out because look at that. That is amazing.
That picture is priceless.
So this is what's scurrying around and says, "Lulu."
This is what D&D is about, folks.
And
Because,
then
we thought going to hell was going to be the craziest thing to happen today.
and then the elephant.
We're being sent to hell by an otter.
And his
One
friend,
more
the
US
furry
ball.
elephant.
And his friend, the furry elephant. There you go.
Holyphant.
It's,
Which,
Pardon
yes,
me while my brain explodes.
looks just like the one above Kashka's head over here. There we go. Just put a side-by-side comparison.
sorry. I'm like, what are you talking about? But he's talking about like in the stream layout.
Yep, in the stream layout,
Oh.
we've got a Holyphant above Kashka's head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually amazing. I never noticed that.
Wow.
I have the stream open on the background too.
Side by side. There you go.
At your Grimm's Grimm says
I do.
Grimm had said, "Are you Traxagor, right?" You asked.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So you saying that? Sorry, I'm still like dealing with all the cuteness. I have to process all that. The otter kind of like says, "Yes, that's of course I am."
Okay.
And who are you?
I'm
Mist
Grimm.
wolves.
Well, yes, but what's your names?
Palkas steps forward and says, "I am Palkas."
I'm Grimm. You said something about a tuning fork?
He says, "Yes, I've been searching for it. I can't seem to find it."
Meanwhile, Coyra's just trying to resist.
Just to
petting.
give my mind something to
What did you say?
focus on other than the bizarreness of the situation. I'm going to start looking for tuning fork.
Okay.
What did you say?
It's like, meanwhaile, Coyra's resisting
I
trying
don't know
to
what I
pet
need
the
to
otter.
roll.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
You
so-
know me too well.
Do not pet the wizard.
Yeah.
I'm an archmage. Thank you very much. So
Is there a resistance thing that I
A wisdom save.
so Traxagor says, "This tuning focus is tuned into Avernus, so I'll need this in order to complete the plane shift spell. If you want to get to Avernus."
Okay.
So I know Grimm is searching for it.
Palkas,
What does a tuning fork?
Palkas bends down while he's saying this, and Palkas says, "Please excuse my ignorant question. Have you always had this form?"
He says, "No, I have not." He says, "I was polymorphed into an otter years ago, but actually I prefer this, so screw that."
Hey, it works.
So
Whatever makes you happy.
okay, tuning fork. So Thorn will obviously find the tuning fork. But is anybody else searching? Because there's a lot of stuff around here.
I ask, what is a tuning fork? Like, what is it that we're looking for?
Oh, it's like it's a piece of metal that it's like a two-pronged piece of metal with a little handle, and you like bing, it's against things, and it
When
makes
Coyra
a
is
tone.
not distracted by the other, she's actually looking around. But she's a bit distracted.
Okay.
And Palkas continues investigating Traxicor, saying, "And has Lulu always had this form?"
Well, she is a Holophant, and that's generally what they look like, yes.
I
Again,
have no idea.
he
I'm looking for like a fork.
He bends down and holds out a few fingers and says, "I'm Palkas."
This tiny otter hand takes your takes your finger and shakes it. It's very nice to meet you, Palkas, but I really need to find this tuning fork.
We'll see what we can do. It appears the rest of my friends have already started looking. I should begin.
Coyra is half paying attention to what's going on with the other. She sees Palkas do that, and she's like, I have to shake hands with the other two. So she goes. She's thinking that, so she goes to the other. Coyra, nice to meet you.
Is that to Traxicor or Lulu or? Sorry, I missed that part. Traxicor.
Yes.
He'll shake your hand as well with his little tiny otter paw.
You just see the excitement on Coyra's face, like.
He looks a little bit like. And then he notices your hat, and says, "Oh, that is a fantastic hat. Obviously, way too big for me, but it's a good one to hold on to."
Coyra just nods, still not knowing what the hat is. She's actually a little bit scared because of Palkas' description of it. She's like, yes!
Meanwhile, I think Thorn found the tuning fork.
Yeah, Thorn has found the tuning fork. But Nobby, you do find this kind of interesting small packet filled with pink dust. And Malvola, sorry, I rolled a nat. Malvola, you find a mummified goblin hand.
Another one?
Actually, what I'm thinking of saying.
If you say that, he says, "Oh,
it's the goblin's other hand."
He says, I keep finding those. Just, do you want to keep it?"
Sure. Why are they always left, though?
He says, "Well, surely you wouldn't want the right one."
I don't see that much of a difference.
And then he goes back to searching through stuff, and he just continues this frantic kind of searching. He's doing that thing where otters, you know how they hop across. He's doing that in his little coat. It's ridiculous.
So I found a pouch of pink dust.
You found crap. Hang on. You found a small packet filled with pink dust.
Pop rocks.
Don't give it to Thorn. Just don't do it.
Just eat it.
Okay. Although they probably count as something useless.
Oh yeah, did you attune to your gauntlets
I've been
during
wearing
the flight?
I put them on before we left.
Then, oh my gosh, you're
In the candy store.
You're now encumbered.
No shit.
It's a giant packet.
Wow, just how much does this packet weigh?
285 pounds.
So
In
yeah.
which case, I have a feeling this packet's going to make its way into one of my pouches,
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
whether consciously or not.
okay.
I'm not sure how the feature is supposed to work.
So I would like you to make a Constitution saving throw to. If you're gonna try and resist taking the packet, then make a con save.
Yeah. Oh, great. It's one of those that.
You do not succeed.
So it winds up going into a pouch.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but it's in there now.
Okay. Cool.
Anybody else find stuff?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I mean, you find stuff, right? But nothing of like the particular is like, ooh. Mostly.
Nothing of interest.
Yeah.
I found an otter. I'm happy.
Otter dropping.
It's
mean, whatever
very
tickles your
hygienic.
fancy.
Thank you very much.
So is Lulu just flying around right now?
Yeah, Lulu is. Yeah, she did take to the air, and she is kind of just fluttering, kind of watching everybody searching through stuff.
Okay.
Coyra looks
Yeah.
up and
What
actually
about Slobber
introduces
Chop?
herself to Lulu.
Okay. So Lulu. Oh, actually, hang on. So. You hear actually in your, she doesn't say anything herself, but in your mind you hear her voice say, it is my pleasure to meet you, Coyra. My name is Lulu.
Such manners. Cora's just staring.
And Lulu will say to you, Coyra, Silvera did let us know that you would be, that you were on your way. I do hope we can help you.
Coyra says, yes. The first question I have, we have Slobber. And she points towards Slobber Chops. It's like, if he wants, can he stay here?
She says,
Yeah, we'd rather not bring the here to hell.
To hell.
she says, I think that is very wise. And I can't speak for that though. And she's just saying that into your, like, straight into your noggin, Coyra. She says,
Yeah, I kind of responded to what Coyra was saying without realizing
Yeah.
I'm talking to her.
No worry.
Yeah,
Who are you talking to?
it's a bit weird because Coyra is having this one-sided conversation right now.
We just see the excitement on the face.
Do you have a magic item talking to you in your head?
No, it's a little elephant.
I'm just trying to make sure Malvola's disease isn't spreading.
No, see, this is something that I'm wondering, because when I hear a little elephant, I'm still picturing something that's like the size of like a golden retriever at least.
I mean, that's little to me,
So she's
especially in elephant terms.
she is small
Well, yeah.
size. Like size category wise, she is small. So
Size of
So,
a half.
yeah.
So she's still like the size of a halfling, which
yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, golden retriever. Yeah, something like that.
So Traxigor could, ride around on Lulu
Mm-hmm.
as a matter.
Okay, apparently my disease is spreading because that's exactly what I was picturing.
It's possible.
I can already imagine it. It's adorable. Coyra actually asks, "Who should I ask then?"
She says, "Well, Traxico, this is his tower, so I'm sure he'll be fine with it. But it's probably more up to Slobber Chops, to be honest."
True.
Coyra, who are you talking to?
To. God damn it, Lulu. What's that? Lulu. I'm really bad with names.
Malvola's not saying anything.
Sorry, what?
I said, but Lulu's not saying anything.
And
She is.
right into your
Coyra
head,
actually
Grimm.
looks like
She says,
a bit confused. Like,
she says, "It's lovely to meet you. Not all of us speak out loud."
Ah, that explains it. It's, this can get any weirder of a day.
so Coyra actually asks Traxigo if and when Slobberchops would want to stay here, if he can stay here.
Traxigo says, "Well, Lulu has stayed here, although I'm not sure if she will remain. But yes, of course. Slobberchops is welcome to stay."
Coyra actually asks, what do you mean? Not sure if she will remain.
Well, she might be coming with you.
Coyra just smiles.
Why would Lulu be coming with us?
I'm sure Silveria said that she mentioned that
A guide.
Lulu has knowledge about Avernus and devils and.
Coyra just says, if she comes
Sorry,
with
it's
us,
been a
I'll
long
take
day.
good care.
And to Slobberchops, what do you think, Warrior? You want to stay here?
Slobberchops will jump down off your shoulders, kind of slowly pads over to a comfy-looking chair, hops up and kind of settles in.
Well, I guess that
Sounds like a
answers
cat.
that question.
Rhea is standing in the back and she's just kind of like, oh my god. Like, she's just like,
I'm being
it's
sent to hell
overcome.
by a badger and
Yeah, Coyra promised to take good care of Lulu while they're down there.
If Lulu was coming.
Yeah, if she is coming, she's gonna take care.
Yeah, Lulu will say, "It is my plan to accompany you."
Well, now that you have those...
To who did she say it?
She will say that actually individually to Coyra and to Grimm.
Okay.
So, Traxigor, now that you've got your tuning fork, what now?
So he's still looking around, and then when you say that, he kind of like his little head goes up,
Yeah, I think he found your tuning fork.
And
if that's the right one.
He sees Thorn with it and says, "Oh," and he kind of like badoing over to Thorn, and says, "May I have that, please?"
Oh god. Why would they not animate this character? I mean, seriously.
So, Thorn, do you hand over the tuning fork?
Oh yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Okay. Sorry,
Preferably without stabbing the otter.
I need to look
So
at
one thing I'm just
There's
realizing,
no auto stabbing.
I told the board to follow us. So what I'm now just imagining, when we started flying with the griffins, that he just jumped in the sea.
No, the ball would have stood forlornly looking after you on that
How long does the pour last?
landing area
Until evening. Or
until
dawn. Whatever
until
it was.
Silveria eats him. That's how long it lasts.
Or the griffins. Follow us. Here, let's go see some griffins. Meanwhile, the
Oh,
griffins
no,
are like.
dinner.
It's fine. He'll be fine. I mean, it's better
Different kind of chops being served today.
I mean, I'll just imagine it jumping off a cliff or whatever. I don't think that's very nice either. But good to know that they don't just blindly follow you.
Yeah, they're still sentient, creatures.
Yes, that's good to know.
Okay. So Traxigo takes the tuning fork and kind of like taps it against the table edge, and it does let out this tone, and he says, "Oh yes, this is just the right one." And
The sound of hell.
Coyra actually asks, when you send us down, do you know where you will put us, or? Will you not know the exact locations?
He says, I am fairly certain of where I'll put you in Elturel, but the question in my head is if Elturel is stationary, because if it is moving, you might be slightly off to the left or off to the right, but if it's stationary, then I'll put you exactly where I mean to.
Okay.
What's the likelihood we'll survive?
He's kind of stands there with his little otter hands on his hip. Very
As if
good,
he-
thank you.
Now
He's a little bit insulted.
Insulting the otter. Like, that just sounded like an insult.
Yeah, right? He's a
We'll
little
just
bit
materialize
like...
halfway into a wall or something.
Just above a lava pit. Sploosh.
Palkas says, your transportation magics are foreign to me. I did not mean any insult.
He says, okay.
Sorry.
Coyra just says he's a little bit direct. To the point. Like, she's really good with animals. Like, she's comfortable and stuff, but with humans, she's like super hard. So that's why she can communicate normal in this situation.
Mighty Traxagor, can you let us know where you intend us to be placed down so that if there is displacement, we might ourselves judge how Elturel is moving? Is there something we can calibrate by?
He says, are any of you familiar with Elturel?
Rare is.
Mm.
She's the silent one over there.
And she kind of is trying to pick her jaw up off the floor, you know. She's kind of... yes, I spent many years in Elturel.
Palkas says, I thought you were Elturelian born.
He's saying that to Raya?
Yeah.
She kind of is like a little bit startled by the question. She says, no, I was taken to train as a Hellrider when I was very young.
He doesn't say any more on it.
Okay.
And now here you are. Isn't that nice?
Let's go to hell, Ryder.
Okay. So he Traxagor says to Raya, well, I plan to set you down in the street just south of the High Hall.
Sorry, the voice is just spot on. So.
Yeah.
Right.
And Raya will
I'm
be
sure
like,
Rare
okay.
can let us if we've moved away from that. Thank you.
Wow. I still have
I guess we're good to go.
Avernus poster map. So I've got these over here. Hooray.
I'm waiting on the little wizard, so.
Oh yeah. So you're all just kind of standing around waiting for Traxagor
I'm
to...
not sure what. I've never
Yep.
done this
Do his
before.
thing.
Don't know what to do. So, what are we supposed to do?
Okay. He says, well, are you ready to go right now?
Sure.
Ready as will ever be?
Yeah,
Unless you suggest
I feel-
against it.
He says,
I don't know if delaying any further will serve any purpose or.
Okay. He says, come, Lulu. And Lulu flaps away over to this kind of slightly more open area in the room that you're in. And he says, well, just if you could, and he's motioning with his little otter arms, little otter hands. If you could just stand in a circle together. He says,
Coyra quickly goes and stands next to Lulu.
Okay. Yep, Lulu
I'll take a moment to
flaps over.
give Slobber Chops a scritch and say goodbye. Tell him to behave himself while we're gone.
Okay.
Then go stand in the circle somewhere.
Yeah, Lulu. Oh, Slobberchops will put a paw up and kind of like as you like reach down to give him a scritch, he puts his paw up and like meets your hand. And when you tell him to behave himself, he nods his head and.
I'll give him one of the last little bits of jerky I have.
He noms it. Nom, nom, nom.
That's if we make it back.
Let's try to stay positive.
I'll probably die.
I'm sure we're dead. No, Palkas says, "Is Lulu coming with us then?"
Lulu will say directly into your head, yes, friend, I have much expertise that I think I can share with you. I am familiar with Avernus.
How do you come by this knowledge?
She says, and she goes silent for a while and she's looking at Traxigo, and Traxigo says, yes, fine, go ahead, tell them. And then she goes back to she asks you, Palkas, do you speak Celestial, or does anybody here speak Celestial?
Others may, I do not.
Nope. Sorry, I skipped that in school.
I was asleep that day.
Do not.
Just nasty languages, I'm afraid.
I got common and orc. That's it.
Okay.
You can speak Infernal.
So then she's telling you, Palkas, and it's up to you kind of whether you share this with the rest of the group. She says, I was with the angel Zariel when she assembled her army of Hellriders to attack Avernus. Through the gate we went, tearing through devils like song through the air. Victory was within our grasp until some of the Hellriders betrayed us. They retreated through the gate and sealed it behind them. Before she was captured, Zariel told me to hide her sword so that it wouldn't fall into evil hands. Someone helped me hide the sword, but I don't remember who. We found a place to hide it, but I don't remember where. And I escaped to Avernus, but I don't remember how. Most of my memory is gone, and I don't remember why. But I do remember Avernus, and I do remember devils, and I think I can be a good guide. And maybe going back there will help me remember the parts that are gone.
I would like to insight check that.
Yeah. Go for it.
As cute as she is.
I don't remember.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
There you
no
go.
worries. Yeah, she seems completely honest.
Okay. Palkas recites it as best he can, what she then just said to him, but much more emotionless and blunt.
So the Palkas way.
Yes.
Shall we then?
Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
I hope we all find the answers we seek, and not at any too steep of a cost.
Traxigo says, yes, good luck to you all. Let's go.
Go where?
He seemed awfully eager to send us to hell.
Standing here holding hands.
Alright, so everybody's standing in a circle.
Kumbaya.
Traxigo.
A mummified goblin hand?
You're all like,
Hey, how's it going? I'm ready
You're
to
like,
go over
do
here.
the thing where you're like, oh my god, your grip! Oh, you pulled my handle!
Or sleight of hand to swipe that off of no.
So as you stand in the circle... Oh, go on, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. As you stand together in a circle, Traxigo stands in the center and taps the tuning fork on the floor, and he closes his little furry eye capsules, and Grimm is stealing shit in the background.
Felt the sudden urge to have a goblin Mummified goblin hand.
And he starts reciting the spell, and there's this intense pull on your kind of abdomen, like you feel like you're being pulled backwards, by this really strong force, and I think we'll stop there. And see if
With our insides being pulled outside.
if you get to Avernus in one piece, maybe you'll be splinched. I don't know.
Did I steal the mummified goblin hand?
Tune in next
What's your passive perception, Malvola?
That would be a 13.
You see Grimm. You feel like
He's
trying to nick something.
Now's not the time.
Can I help you?
Huh? What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Sudden urge getting pulled through the belly. All right, so thanks everybody for tuning in for another episode of Descent into Avernus, which we literally are doing right now.
Finally
So.
going. I'm excited.
Woo. All right, tune in
Still
next time to
possibly
find
with
out
more
if we
headaches.
survive the trip, let alone our first day there. So, yeah, thanks again, everybody, viewers, players, and of course the DM. So, we'll see you then.
Take care.
Bye.